Hello ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Force here, and today I wanted to talk with you guys about the recent announcement of Xbox One and sort of the policies towards used games and internet connectivity. There was recently a major reveal from Microsoft in which they sort of laid out the groundwork for what they plan to do when it comes to the Xbox One on those two subjects. And the internet has been ablaze. Just lots of people really upset, people making rage videos. I watched the Angry Joe video, which was hilarious, by the way. If you haven't seen that, I suggest giving it a look. Really funny. He just flips the crap out. I kind of wanted to take a little bit more of a level-headed approach to this, and I wanted to talk with you guys sort of about what's going on right now, what it means to you. And while all this discussion is taking place, you know, we're talking about how Microsoft has made this reveal about the Xbox One. I'll say it again throughout the course of this video. Don't think that Sony is going to come in and save us here. I'm fairly certain from what I understand that this is mostly being pushed by publishers, and major publishers are the ones who really want this. Of course, Microsoft benefits as well, but the truth of the matter is that I think if Sony doesn't do a similar system, then Sony is not going to be getting a lot of the major publishers putting games on their console. And some of you could care less about that. Oh, if EA doesn't publish on Sony, who cares? I hate them anyways. Well, that's fantastic for you, but the truth is that I think that would hurt Sony too much if it works the way I understand it does, and it's going to. There's a good chance Sony is going to do, if not something identical, something very similar to what the Xbox One is going to do. So let's talk about what is going on with the Xbox One. Number one, and I'm going to be pulling this, we've got a nice consolidated bullet point list from an article on Eurogamer, so I'm just going to be pulling from this and talking with you about it. So the first important note is that you do not own the games that you buy, you license them. And that is true. And you know, that is true in other forms of media too. That is true for music. I know lots of people get their music through iTunes, and it's sort of the same deal. If the iTunes service goes down, I don't know if they've got systems in place for you to retain your music, but if everything's tied to it and you lose your iTunes account for some reason, you sort of lose it. It's the same case for Steam, you know, Steam games, and I think they've got something similar in place that they say, well, if we shut down the Steam service, you'll be able to access all your games or whatever. But the notion that we don't have ownership over digital goods is something that's sort of consumers have been slowly getting accustomed to because of the convenience of things like iTunes and things like Steam, being able to get your games and your music for relatively cheap. I mean, the truth is, you look before iTunes, what was everyone doing with music? Everyone was pirating music. Everyone was using Napster, right? I mean, I guess by everyone, I mean the people within my world, the people that I knew, that's what they were doing. They were stealing music. And then iTunes came along, and all of a sudden they're like, you need to pay 99 cents for a song. And as ridiculous as that might sound to people who are getting music for free, nearly everyone bought into it. I mean, look at how big Apple and iTunes is. So I'm not arguing for it, but I'm saying this is sort of the digital trend. This is the way things are going. When we're getting these products digitally, it's more the case that we're licensing them and we're renting them for an extended period of time than it is that we're actually owning these things. This is a shift in mentality, and it's going to be very divisive. There's going to be a lot of people who aren't on board with this and are going to look elsewhere, but this is happening. It's been happening. It's just new to consoles. It's new for people who are used to buying physical discs and then having that disc and saying, okay, this is something that I own and I can do with it what I please. I can give it to my friend Joe. I can sell it through Craigslist. I could do whatever. But you know, when you've got digital goods, when I purchase a song through iTunes, when I purchase a game through Steam, I don't have that leisure. It's something that myself, consuming primarily digital goods, am used to, but it's at the same time, it's new to this. It's new to this sort of ecosystem. It's new to the consoles. And you know, we've had Xbox Live Marketplace, we've had PlayStation Network, and all these places where it sort of works the same. You can download these digital products, and you can't trade them. You are just licensing them. You can't do with them what you please. But for it to be now done on a system-wide level, I can understand why people are furious. I mean, it makes sense to me why people would be upset about the notion that they don't really own their goods anymore. It's at Microsoft's discretion as to when you can play these things. And talking about that, let's go into the next major thing, and that's internet connectivity. So the way connectivity is going to work with the Xbox One If you are on your home system, if you are on your home console at your house or your apartment, wherever you live, you have a check which is going to occur on a 24-hour basis. So what's going to happen is every 24 hours, it's going to check in with the system and say, are you connected? Is the copy of the game that you have, does it belong to you? Is it registered to your account? It is. You can continue playing. If you don't have that connection at the 24-hour check-in point, you can't play games. I think they said you can still watch TV and stuff, but games are no longer an option for you. So 24-hour check-in, you don't have internet connectivity, you can't play whatever offline game you have, online game you have, whatever. You can't play it. I guess obviously you wouldn't be playing an online game anyways if you didn't have that online connectivity. Now, if you were playing on a system that is not your own, so if you were logged on to a friend's Xbox One, if you're over a friend's house and you're logged on to their Xbox One under your account, there's an hour period. There's an hour check-in. If you can't check in under an hour, they shut it off. So why are they doing this? Well, they're doing this to maintain control, and they're also doing this. It's not. People will say it's to fight piracy, and that, stuff like that is part of the reason. But a big part of the reason is also to fight people from giving their games to their friends, really, and that sucks, right? I mean, it's to stop you from giving your game to your friend and letting them beat it for an afternoon. The idea that this hour lockdown period isn't enough time to beat pretty much any game, really. It's making it so you can't just give your game to your friend. Now, there is going to be a use system, and basically what's going to happen here is basically people who are on your family account can use your game. The way it works is there are 10 people that will be tied to your family account. How this is done really hasn't been decided yet, or it hasn't been announced at least to us, the public. But you can have 10 people under your family account, and they're able to play authorized games that you have basically on your shared list from a different Xbox One through the cloud, but that can only be done with one person on that list of 10. It sort of works similar to how the iTunes authorized devices work, apparently. So besides that, there's also a trade policy where you can give a game to one person once. So what that means is if I purchase an Xbox One game, I can give it to a person, which would... It's a final transaction. They're basically saying you can give a game or sell a game yourself to another person once, but it has to be someone who's been on your friends list for 30 days. Now, this is apparent. They're phrasing this as it's up to publishers, but truthfully, that's just them sort of passing the buck. They've built it into the system. It exists in the system, and they're the ones who designed this, right? They're just giving publishers the option of doing it. But basically, someone has to be in your friends list for 30 days for you personally to give it to them or sell it to them. And that's going to be a one-time use. If that person then tries to give it to someone else, they won't be able to do that. They're going to have to go directly through Microsoft, which means them going through partnered retailers such as GameStop or Best Buy or whoever, which will then go through that whole used game system where they're putting it into the Azure account and paying the whatever fee to Microsoft and the publisher, and then they're able to resell it as a used game. So yeah, internet connectivity, all this used game business, it's really crazy. It's just really a little absurd, and people are furious, understandably so, because it's a shift in mentality. It's a change in direction. With these internet requirements, they're shutting off a lot of people who don't have consistent internet connection, who can't be connected in 24 hours, people who are overseas, people who are in the military, people who just live in rural areas that don't have great internet connectivity. They are shutting those people down. You will not have an Xbox One. If you do not have a broadband connection, basically, you will not have an Xbox One. Plain and simple. You can buy yourself an Xbox 360. I bet those will get marked down to $99 once the next console system comes out. But you want the new system, right? Yeah, I understand. Well, they're not tuned into you unless you've got broadband connection, because they want you to buy their services. They want you to be hooked into their system. And the truth is, all of this transition and all this crazy stuff, the fact that even physical discs still exist right now, this is just a transitional period until the next console generation where it's all digital. There eventually are not going to be physical discs. I mean, this is just the way things are going. Why, once internet connection becomes so pervasive that you don't need to spend the money to build these products, then everything's going to be digital. On one hand, that sucks. On the other hand, the sort of eco-friendly side of me says, great, That means we're getting rid of all this garbage that gets tossed in the landfills eventually. That's fantastic. Like, digital has its benefits, but from an ownership side of things, it's got huge drawbacks, and that's again the notion that you don't own things, you license things, and that's that. Kind of crappy. Seems like that's the direction we're going as we push forward into the future, and this is growing pains. Really, it's going to be terrible for a lot of people. Fully understand why lots of people are stressed out. Yeah, that's that. So if you want a more in-depth discussion, there's a bunch of places you guys can go. I just wanted to quickly give you guys a general recap with some of my thoughts on the matter. I'll provide you a link to the Eurogamer article, which is good. I'll provide you a link to Giantbomb's Discussion. It's a 40-minute video where they just go through bullet point by bullet point. If you don't watch Giantbomb, if you don't follow Giantbomb, you have to do so. They are very insightful. They know what they're doing, and they're actually one of the main reasons I got into covering games. I just love their coverage. I love their podcast. They're great. So check out that video, 40 minutes of discussion about the Xbox One. These guys know their stuff. It's well worth a watch. And with all that crappy stuff out of the way, I wanted to follow up. So there's going to be no force feed today because I am leaving for the weekend. I'm going to visit family. I just didn't have time to produce it. But I wanted to give you guys some news, and also let's do the weekend deal. Let's go out on a happy note, huh? So we got some weekend deals for Steam, 75% off Saints Row the Third, also 75% off Sid Meier's Civilization 5, plus that game is free to play this weekend up until Sunday, I think at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Over on Green Man Gaming, there is a 36% discount on Guild Wars 2, a 25% discount off of Remember Me if you use this promo code, and then a 62% discount off of Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, and finally 50% off Defiance. And then lastly, on Good Old Games, 60% off Codemaster titles, including Leisure Suit Larry, Cannon Fodder 1 and 2, Insane, and Blade of Darkness. All right, guys, that is that. Thank you guys so much for watching. No standard force feed. I know this is a much longer video than the force feed typically is, but the force feed takes about 3 to 4 hours to produce, and this took me 12 minutes. All right, thanks guys for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe, keep watching, and keep owning.